the Bank of Canada Act, Section 18, subsection J, only hours before I was originally planning to make this point of privilege. And having read that section and looked at the numbers, I came to the conclusion that there very well might be a breach of law involved in what the bank and the government have colluded to do. Allow me to read the section in question. Section 18, the bank may, J, make loans to the Government of Canada or the government of any province, but such loans outstanding at any one time shall not, in the case of the Government of Canada, exceed 1/3 of the estimated revenue of the Government of Canada in a fiscal year. I turn your attention, Mr. Speaker, to Table A14, Summary Statement of Transactions, Budget 2021. Projected revenues $355.1 billion. So to respect Section 18J of the Bank of Canada Act, which limits the bank's ability to lend money to the government to no more than 1/3 of projected budgetary revenues, the bank would be effectively capped in its loans to the government at $118 billion. $118 billion being 1/3 of the $355 billion of projected revenues. In fact, the Bank of Canada balance sheet shows that it now holds $415 billion, almost $300 billion more than the legal cap provided in the Act. Now, when I discovered this apparent breach, I immediately delayed my introduction of this point of privilege to spend the time to verify and re-verify my calculations. I've never seen a government body so flagrantly violate limits that the Parliament has placed upon it in statutory law, so I thought there must be some mistake. But as I crunched the numbers, I realized that no, in fact, the 1/3 limit was breached. I then reached out to the Library of Parliament to conduct a full review of all the legislation passed to approve emergency COVID spending since spring of 2020 to find out if maybe the section was temporarily suspended or a special exemption to it was created in order to allow this kind of dollar figure to be lent from the bank to the government. And sure enough, the Library of Parliament said there was no such exemption or suspension of the section. It is still in place. In other words, this research shows, and I ask that you and your trusted advisors and the officials at the Library of Parliament to verify my claim here, that the Bank of Canada has breached limits that Parliament has imposed on its ability to lend money to the government. Now, these limits do not exist without reason. There is a reason why Parliament chose deliberately to write a section into the Bank of Canada Act limiting the amount of debt the bank could buy. And it is the reason is this: because Parliament foresaw that future governments might try to use the printing presses over at the bank in order to pay for spending that it could not raise through the more normal process of taxation. With the limits Parliament placed on the Bank of Canada's purchase of government debt, Parliament effectively banned the government from raising taxes by inflationary money creation instead of by legal and legitimate taxation. That the government and the bank have circumvented that ban and broken a law of Parliament breaches the privileges of every member of this House to vote on laws that are made and repealed. In the process, the government has breached the principle of the independence of the central bank.